Hello, everyone. Just trying to figure out how to get this. All right, so I don't think it's working the way that I want to, per se. I'm going to use my phone as well. Good morning, everyone. Trying to figure out this live with the Zoom room. Tried to do it from one device, was only able to do it from two. So we're about to get started here. Getting my shoes on, getting ready. Get ready for your warm up. So while we're getting started here, guys, once again, I just want to say thank you. I hope you guys tuned in to the little videos I ended up throwing into the comment section after my last little snafu on Wednesday, trying to figure out how to make this all work. Today, we're going to be going over what I call my core drills. All right, these are 6 drills that are basically what I want you to think of them as your first reactions to some of these most basic wrestling positions. The positions that we're going to talk about are going to be head inside, head outside shots, offense, head inside, head outside shot, defense, and then front headlock, offense and defense. So 6 positions, and I've got a drill for each of them. The way that I teach this most of the time is that it goes something like, if you start with these as your initial reactions, that all of the normal stuff that your coaches teach you, all of this fun bag of tricks things that you have going, those types of things will still be there. But that if you don't start with some of these basic positional fundamental reactions to either your opponent's defense of your shot, or if you don't use these as your reaction to your opponent's offense, it can leave you with less options in the end. So I'll give you the rundown for the lesson today. We're going to get a quick warm up. I'm not going to limit today to an hour because I really want to make sure that all of the stuff that I have down here, this lesson is pretty important to me. It's one that I really use for new students to try to get them accustomed and familiar with a little bit of the language that I use a ton, types of positions that I'm looking for and things like that. So a lot of this builds on at least the first 2 lessons that you guys have gotten from me, the 7 basic skills and the slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So if you haven't checked out those videos, please do. Also, I still want to remind everyone that I'm trying to raise money for the Joe Heskett Foundation. or the Joe Heskett GoFundMe. He still needs some help, and his family is still looking for the wrestling community to support and rally behind him. Also, on another note, we got some bad news yesterday that Old Dominion University decided to drop their program immediately. I wrestled for Drexel University in college, and we competed against them in our conference tournament. Got lots of friends that wore the ODE singlet, lots of friends from the Monarch community that are saddened by this. And so trying to think of maybe something we can do next week if there's going to be a rally behind ODU to try and keep that program. I think that we'll want to be a part of that. So as we get started here, let's get our warm-up done. We'll talk about some tie-ups and types of shots, pressure, and then talk about a couple positional things, the rules to the shots, and then we'll get into the 6 core drills. All right, so as we get started here, let's just start with a warm-up. Start bouncing on your feet. Let's get some jumping jacks ready. We're going to do about 10 of these. So ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. So now we're going to do a couple of burpees with some mountain climbers. So we're going to do 10 of these. So we're going to go down, out, 1, 2. That's 1. So we're going to do 10. So go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. So I'm a little bit sore. I got talked into a challenge of doing a Murph workout a day. Just going to do some push-ups right here. All right, let's get 10 of these in. My arms are dead though, so bear with me here, folks. Ready? Down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. All right, let's get some sit-ups in. All right. Make sure I'm still in frame. Good. Just go down there. Get behind me. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to do 10 of these, folks. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. So let's make sure we get a little stretch here. Today I will be using a partner. Got my buddy Alan here once again. He is my corona-free workout partner, at least for now. So here in our top secret corona-free wrestling room. Let's get a little stretch, guys. Make sure you're stretching while I'm talking. Remember from the last lesson, we want to stretch from our eyelids down to our toenails. So take this 30 seconds to get your arms and your shoulders stretched out. All right, make sure you're getting your heads and your neck stretched out. All right, I hope you have your wrestling notebooks handy. All right, wrestling notebooks. I hope you guys have a positive mindset, open and willing to learn, because we've got a lot of good stuff today, or I hope it's good to you. Today's pace will be a little slow, but I really want you guys to try and pay attention to some of the stuff that I'm talking about here. So should feel a little bit nice and warm. Let's get our bodies used to some wrestling motion now. Let's start talking about these 7 basic skills again. All right, stance, motion, level change, penetration, body arch, lift, and back step. So let's start incorporating these, get a little stance and motion. Remember, we want to get down nice into our stance, nice and low. Imagine that we were sitting on a chair. Anytime I'm on a wrestling mat, and I get into my stance, my feet automatically start moving. So we're gonna do this for about a minute. You've been seeing a lot of great clinicians. They've been teaching you about their stance in motion, what that looks like to them. So make sure you're adding in these 7 basic skills: stance, motion, this level change, all right? It's really important that you get used to keeping your lead leg hand. For you right leg leads, keeping that right hand down, all right? Your left hand's gonna do a lot of your setting up for right now. All right, you left leg lead guys, you're gonna be the opposite. Left hand stays down, all right? Right hand's checking our height and our distance, all right? Our back hand checks our height and our distance. So moving around in your stance, good, shake it out. All right, so I want you guys to listen while we're getting some of this warm up in. All right, so there are basically 3 types of tie-ups. All right, so we're gonna get right back into our stance and do stance in motion. While you guys are moving, I'm gonna be writing on the board. So listen for my voice here. Back in your stance, stance in motion. So we've got 3 types of tie. All right, so we've got an open tie. You've got a control tie. And we've got hand fighting. Still moving in your stance, motion, checking your levels. All right, start adding in a little bit of penetration, nice and slow. Get your hips opened up. All right, good penetration here. Step. Bring your hips forward always. Once again, another big one. Step. Bring those hips forward. Knee over toe. Good. Shake it out. So we've got our open ties, control ties, and hand fighting. So from each of those, we've got some preferred techniques. All right. So I'm going to bring Alan in the frame really quick before I send him back out. And he's in his stance. An open tie is when we're in front of each other, but we're not touching. All right. This is called an open tie, which means I'm in my stance. I'm doing wrestling motions, but me and this guy don't have our hands on each other, okay? So our open tie shots, our preferred shots from our open tie are going to be our double legs and our low singles, all right? When I'm out in space here, my low single shows up a lot better. Same thing with my doubles. I'm able to get penetration better. I'm able to see this guy's level, where if I can use these 7 basic skills and level change, my opponent stays high after a level change. He comes up, there goes my double leg, good penetration. I can get in deep. Same thing happens with my motion on my feet for my low singles. I'm naturally a left leg lead, wrestling a lot of right leg lead opponents. That means I get lead foot on lead foot, which allows me to get to this motion here. So those are going to be our preferred ties from our open tie. Our control ties are going to be anything where we're moving and controlling our opponent, but our opponent is not quite able to move and control us. So that's going to be anything off of our underhooks. Okay, we went over this a little bit in my second video about underhook position. I'm going to end up doing another video later, completely on hand fighting and underhooks. We're not going to focus too much on that today. All right, so another one of my control ties are going to be my 2-on-1 Russian positions. I'm going to make sure I'm centering that elbow, creating a lot of pressure, using both my hands to create pressure in either way that I can, either there or by shoving his thumb up into his throat, okay? Those are going to be our control ties. And our control ties lead to a bunch of offense, whether it be the 2 types of ties we have from controlling an arm, which are going to be straight arms, equal drags on each side. You can go this way, imagine straight arms this way, equal drags. All right, bent arms can equal throws, whether we're talking key locks, we're talking collar tie, arm throws, things like that, all right? So our control ties are going to lead to things like that. Also, our control ties normally end up leading to head inside offense, just based on the nature of being able to beat our opponent's shoulder and the defense on one side of his body. So whenever I have control ties, I end up looking for stuff like here, head inside shots where I can keep good position, or I end up my opponent goes to square up really hard with me and just gives me got that the other way, keeping my head up tight into position. Third one is hand fighting. All right, and so this is where we're going to talk about today, a bulk of our offense coming from. All right, so I have my 3 rules to hand fighting. Here, there's paper towel and white right there on the second shelf. So I've got 3 rules to hand fighting. All right, so rule number 1, this is how you hand fight. You hand fight from the bottom up. From the inside out. And then if that doesn't work, chest forward. I'm just going to touch on this pretty quickly. I'm telling you, I could really spend a whole lesson just on hand fighting. So, just a quick recap on what these rules kind of are. All right, Alan's in his stance, I'm in my stance. To hand fight is just when my opponent wants to put his hands on me, right? So the bottom that I talk about here is your waist, all right? So where my belt would be is the bottom, and so I always hand fight from my waist up, all right? I never want to try and hand fight down through someone. I'm trying to hand fight through their strength, all right? So I always want to be coming from the bottom up. Now, I can come from the bottom up and try and come from the outside in, and it doesn't really work that well. And so imagine the middle, all right, is the center line of your body. So your center line, imagine I cut someone in half, you're a samurai, I slice you in half straight down the middle. That center line is where I want to be fighting from. Okay, so as me and Alan are in our stance, he's hand fighting me, he's trying to control his tie, he's trying to control me as we move here. I've got to hand fight from the bottom up and from the inside out. This is going to allow me to get the control ties a lot easier, a lot better. Bottom up, inside out. This is where we're going to get to. So those are my 3 pretty simple rules. All right. The third rule, that chest forward. Imagine you're wrestling this really strong guy. He's got a really tight tie on you. You keep so go really tight on him, right? Here, like here. Okay. So I'm here. There's not much that I can do. Alan's strong. He's been moving me around the mat with this. All right, so both of my hands are going to come back to my chest. The hand that's closest to them now is the hand that I attack 2-on-1, and everything pushes forward. All right, this is going to lead me from a hand fighting tie to a controlled tie. All right, so Alan's in here beating me up. He's big and strong. All right, I've seen him do it. I can't get to the inside. His elbows are tight. I can't come from the inside up. I start at my chest and come forward. That's how we're going to be able to get some position back in that hand fight. All right, so quick little hand fight rules, recap. Those things are important. Now, as we talk about today, as we talk about the 6 core drills, all right, so I want you guys thinking about a couple of things. So there's 2 types of pressure. All right, you always want to be applying pressure as a wrestler. So the 2 types of pressure, all right, are going to be pushing pressure, all right, and resistance pressure or stop pressure. All right, so if I'm applying pushing pressure, all right, I'm a left foot lead. I've got my right-handed collar tie, controlling one side of his body. To really be in an effective hand fighting position, I need to control both sides of his body. Remember, both sides of the center line is what I need to control. All right, so I'm controlling both sides of his body. And now my pressure forward is going from good wrestling position, which is butt down, head up, elbows in. So butt down, head up, elbows in, and I'm giving good forward pressure, this kind of marching stance across the mat, all right? When I give pressure here, all right, this is going to show me where my opponent is going to create an angle for me, all right? One of the things that I teach is I don't like to be in this forehead to forehead. This is going to give my opponent too much reaction time for my shots. So I go from forehead shoulder shots, all right, this kind of shoulder position here. Even better is if I can create this angle here by getting my forehead to the crook of his neck right under his chin. All right, but most of your shots against good opponents, you're going to end up fighting from this forehead to shoulder position. The one rule that I have from there is shoot to the side that your head is on. All right. So as we're talking about setting up our shot, okay, you want to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a bad position, all right, or an unorthodox position by taking the wrong attack for the situation. All right, so I want to make sure that I'm shooting to the side that my head is on. And as a good wrestler, you should have an attack to both sides. And I know that for most right leg lead guys, all right, you right leg lead guys, what that's going to look like for having head position on your lead leg side, this normally leads to your sweep singles, okay? This is where a lot of right leg lead offense comes from here. All right, I'm going sweep here. I can even do a little bit of outside step stuff where I'm stepping here, outside step. All right, but I'm not trying to shoot through head position, okay? When I do my lesson on the advanced core drills and we start talking about creating offensive shot reshots, I'm going to really be testing my opponent's position by creating 2 really good shots in a row, all right? But for right now, we're just going to be talking about shooting out of this basic position. And if my head's on this side, then that means I'm going to be attacking this side. I've got attacks with both of my hands, and I've got good footwork, which means I'm going to be able to attack both sides if I need to, but I really want to try and make sure I'm attacking the side that my head's on. So I can circle, I can pull, I can create pressure going into them, where if I push into them and that first foot steps back, that now gives me offense back to the side that I want it on. All right, so we're going to be shooting to the side that our head is on. All right. With those 2 types of pressure, you always want to be applying it in one way or another in a wrestling match. So if Alan's pushing into me, if I stop and create pressure here, this is where angles come from. Angles come from pressure, and angles score takedown. All right, Alan pushes and I stop. Now, if he rotates around where he feels the pressure, all right, he's going to create an angle for his shot. If he's pushing into me and I stop right here, and then I take the initiative to go around that pressure, that's going to allow me to create the shot. All right. Now, one of the most important things that I'm going to talk about during this whole process is going to be shoulder position. So, talked about it a little bit during my first lesson, but just like I did before, shoulder position is one of the most important things. When you talk about, remember the 3 aspects of wrestling, so we've got our, like rock, paper, scissors, okay? We've got our position, technique, and strength. And just like rock, paper, scissors, one beats the other, but not all of them, okay? Position is the static places that you want to be when you're in a wrestling match, all right? So my stance is a position, all right? This next thing we're talking about is going to be shoulder position, all right? So the front of my shoulder on the front of his hip. Remember, the words that I use are important. The details are important if you want to climb the levels in wrestling. So when I talk about shoulder position, remember, it's not the top of my shoulder, okay? Not the side of my shoulder. I want to get the front of my shoulder on the front of my opponent's hip. All right, so front of the shoulder, front of the hip. That's position, all right? How I get there is technique. For today's lesson, all right, I'm going to teach it the way I teach it to my athletes is really, I'm not 100% concerned right now with how you go and transition from good position to good position. If you're transitioning from position to position and you're ending up from good position to unorthodox position, then that's a problem. But if you're good enough and you're fast enough and you're slick enough, right? If you can somehow, and I saw this year, you can hit this 360 shot right here, and you're getting into perfect shoulder position, I mean, by all means, do it. But if you're hitting 360 shots and not scoring, I would suggest kind of shutting those down pretty quick. All right, so talking about our shoulder position, there's basically 3 types of shoulder position. We've got our front side shoulder position, low and high. So low front side is front of my shoulder, front of his hips, staying off both of my knees. This is very, very important. All right, I never want to be on both my knees in a wrestling match. The only time I'm on both my knees when I'm saying my prayers. All right, so making sure that I'm staying off both my knees, that my elbows are tight. All right, you can call it T-Rex arms or whatever. All right, but we want to make sure that our elbows are tight. We're staying off both knees and we're in good position here. So this is our front side shoulder position, which is going to lead to our first core drill, which is a stinky palm. So our second shoulder position is our stinky shoulder. All right, if you don't know why it's called stinky shoulder, go check out video number 1 where I break down why we do that. So stinky shoulder position is going to be almost identical to the front side. I want to get the front of my shoulder right below his tailbone. I want to stay off both my knees. I've got these alligator arms, all right? And so I'm on a leg, but when I get to this stinky shoulder position, I want to just create a double leg takedown from behind. Hands right above his knees, all right, shoulders right below his tailbone. And when I penetrate and drive from here, it's going to be really easy for me to create that takedown if I can get my shoulder into position, all right? Remember, I don't care how we get to shoulder position, but we've got to understand that is part of our map of scoring a takedown, all right? And then the third shoulder position is going to be our front headlock shoulder position. All right, so when we talk about front headlock shoulder position, I really think that it's important to be able to create pressure down your opponent's spine. All right, so we want to be able to create the pressure straight through his spine so that his butt has to be on his heels or her butt on her heels. All right, so to do that, my shoulder can't be too far towards the center of his back. I actually want to put my shoulder, I want to create a small target by turning my body just slightly sideways. My shoulder is going to go kind of right where his t-shirt starts on the top of his back, right in between the top of his shoulders. All right, so right about here, this is where my shoulder is going to be. And all I want to do is lean in just a little bit. All right, you can see how Alan's butt started to go back. My legs get extended. What this does is this makes him carry all of our weight. All right, when I have shoulder position here, it's hard for this guy to grab my elbows. All right, he's got to release all of the weight off of his hands to grab our elbows. Plus one thing, it stops him from being able to bring his head up. When I'm in a front headlock, I want to make sure I'm keeping my opponent's head down. So staying with this good shoulder position is what's going to allow me to control that as he tries to move and as I try to move as well. All right. So when we talk about front headlocks and shoulder position, just really quickly, there are 3 types of front headlocks. All right. This is important because when we talk about our defense later, our defense to a front headlock is only going to be predicated on one of these the most. So you can have both hands over the top in a front headlock. All right, you can have both hands, so over top of the arms and over top of the shoulders. You can have both hands in front of the arms, in front of the shoulders, or you can have either of the variations of one arm in front, one arm behind. So whether you're here, those are the 3 types of front headlocks. All right, and so each of them is going to require just a slightly different reaction, with the first 2 having very simple reactions, and that last front headlock, the 1 over, 1 under, is going to be where we've got to use our brains there. So talking about our shoulder position, talking about what that means for us, the variations on our front side and our stinky shoulder position. So wrestling is wrestling. I know right now we would really be in freestyle and Greco season. I don't know how comfortable a lot of you guys are with freestyle and Greco, but you know, all of the things that I show really should be able to translate across all three styles. I truly believe that wrestling is wrestling. My goal at all times when I'm wrestling someone is, my whole goal is to get behind this guy, pick them up, put them down. All right, that's worth 2 points no matter what style it is. I want to roll them over to their back, all right, and pin them flat. So try not to complicate wrestling too much. Wrestling is a lot easier when you're smart, but it's still pretty easy if you're not. If I told you to shoot a single leg takedown, you would hopefully only want to grab one leg. If I said shoot a double leg takedown, so hopefully you'd be trying to grab both of your legs. So wrestling is a sport made for those that don't want to think that hard all the time, but it helps if you can. So the shoulder positions that we talk about when, let's say we're talking about Greco, because we're not going to be able to get to the shoulder position. Our front side shoulder position, when we're talking upper level, is front of the shoulder on his sternum, all right? So I can stand him up straight here. I want to be able to go from here. This is going to allow, when we talked about our straight arms equal drags and our bent arms equal throws, this is going to be of utmost importance, especially because if we add in our 7th basic skill, this back step, all right? This back step is going to open up a lot of technique from good front side shoulder position, all right? So this back step is going to allow us to come arm throw, arm spin, get to the outside, whether we're stepping to the outside here, the full spin on our throws. That front side shoulder position is important. Now, and the other one's going to be as we're hitting our drags or anything going around the back, all right? The stinky shoulder position is we're putting our shoulder, you know, right below his tailbone, right on his butt. Imagine that he's got a crack 1 foot higher in the center of his back, all right? And that's where my backside stinky shoulder is going to be, all right? So an upper stinky shoulder is really what's going to happen as we're hitting our drags or any techniques where our opponent's trying to stand up and we're still trying to score going around the corner. So imagine me and Alan are wrestling. I hit a really good drag. I want to get my shoulder to an upper stinky shoulder position because this is going to be a position that I score from pretty frequently. All right. One thing that happens a lot here is guys start to get around the corner. They want to get their opponent to the mat. So their hips drop. My opponent stays high. And then I end up trying to pull this guy down, which just makes for really difficult mat returns, really difficult takedowns. All right. So talking about shoulder position. All right. It's really important that we understand, for the most part, we're talking about the front of the shoulder. All right. The front of the shoulder, not the top, not the side. All right. You can't be on both knees. All right. No both knees. The only time you're on both knees when you're saying your prayers at night. All right. No both knees. And we've got our T-Rex arm. All right. This is important for making sure that you don't get extended on your shots. All right. So starting there. I'm going to grab a quick water break, take 10 seconds. All right, we're going to get into some rules of the shots, and then we're going to start getting into some actual drills here. All right, so take 10 seconds, get your drink, put your notes down in your notebook, and we'll be back in real soon. Shit. Fuck. Oop. So it looks like I had some technical difficulty that I didn't expect. My video went off for a little bit, so I'm going to reconnect. Hopefully you guys are still there. Check in on my Zoom meetings. Let's see, we have about 3 people in here. Hey, John, Grayson, somebody on the Galaxy S9. So first of all, thank you for tuning in still. Hopefully you guys are getting something out of this. So about to get started a little bit more with some of the technique here. Sorry, I didn't know that my phone went off. So getting right back to it, talking a little bit about shoulder position, our takedowns. and some rules to takedowns that we're going to get into, and then my 6 core drills. All right. So when we talk about rules to takedown, all right, I'm going to put them up on the board. We're going to talk about them, and then we're going to get right into some drills. So rules, you got to get rules to your takedown. So you need to get 2 hands to the leg. Okay? I don't think that I've coached the Hulk yet. So I don't know anyone that's strong enough really to grab onto a leg with one hand, be able to score. All right. Second thing is you want a high lock for a shot. High lock, hands under chin. All right. This is going to allow you to control the whole leg as opposed to being at your opponent's whim for sprawls and things like that. All right. Third one, most important rule. This one, grab, leg, elevate. All right. Grab, leg, elevate. If you learn anything, anytime you grab a leg, elevate it off the mat. Okay. Fourth one is don't break a lock. Don't break your lock until the foot is off the mat. Now, how far off the mat? I don't care. I don't care whether it's an inch or a mile. His foot must be off the mat for you to break your hand. And then last but not least, rule number 5 is keep shoulder position through your mat return. And the reason I say mat return and not finish is because at the highest level, just because you get the guy to the mat doesn't mean you scored your takedown. So let's get into some of this actual technique now, guys. Talking about the 6 core drills. All right, so head inside shots, head outside shots. First, head outside shots, my high crotches, 7 basic skills, stance, motion level, change, penetration, body arch, lift, back step. My penetration is going to be a big giant step. I'm going knee over toe. All right, front of my shoulder, front of Alan's hip. I want to make sure that I'm standing in good position, not on both knees, alligator arms, got my hands locked. I'm good here. Now there's going to be 3 ways I can finish. I'm going to show you the mid-level finish, which is going to be your most often finish. All right. And so as I come up, all right, my shoulder stays in position. I basically bring my knees up tight. This allows me to steer with my head. All right. When I steer with my head, it pushes all of the weight to Alan's far foot. All right. So I started from here. I push with my head. This allowed me to put all the weight on Alan's far foot. So now when I split my hand, all right, my inside hand, the hand that I shot with, all right, that's going to come tight. I elevate, and I want to reach low, right at his knee, okay? So as I reach at his knee, I'm not going to drive him off frame. I'm going to lift. But imagine I want to be running my feet off frame this way, all right? So when I'm splitting here, I want to make sure I'm keeping my shoulder position so that when we hit the mat, all right, I'm staying nice and tight. So I want to make sure I'm keeping my shoulder position. This stops his hips from being able to turn over. All right. If I've got this shoulder nice and tight to the top, to the front of his hip, then I'm able to keep pressure here and stop him from scoring. Now, the way that I finish after my mat return, I've got what's called a stack kneed position of my opponent. All right. One of my rules of scrambling that you'll see later is create a low leg, which is the stack knee position. I want to grab that low leg and elevate it. All right. So imagine I shot my high crotch. I created a low leg. I grabbed it and elevated it. When we do this, elevate this low leg, we end up with low leg cradles, which pin people. All right. Now, this stinky palm shot to high crotch. Okay. As I'm splitting. Right here, I got to split off the mat. As I split, My outside hand reaches deep in between his legs. If I could, I would grab the top of his short, all right, or I'd grab his belt if I could. My shoulder stays in position. Finish to the mat. When I reach in between, this allows me to elevate this low leg, look for my low leg cradles, all right? So, stinky palm, your high crotch, all right, head outside shot. I can hit this with either type of penetration step, whether it be an outside step here, all right, or a regular inside step penetration. It doesn't matter, all right, but I'm getting to a head outside shot, all right? So head on the shoulder, me and Alan were hand fighting, all right? I'm in good position, I'm controlling both sides of my tie, and then I'm able to go outside step, right to my high crotch, not on both knees, bring it up off the mat, keeping my shoulder tight, all right, splitting my hands because it slipped off the mat, starting to finish, reaching deep, keeping my shoulder in position, elevate the low leg. If he turns away, we look for our navy. As he turns back in, low leg cradle, and finish the match. All right, so that's going to be our stinky shoulder, our stinky palm finish. Okay, hope you guys got these rules. Okay, so that's going to be our stinky palm finish for our head outside shot. Now, the finish that we do there is basically a Barzagar. Okay, you may ask, who was Barzagar? He was an Iranian wrestler. His name was Mansour Barzagar. All right, he was an Olympic silver medalist, a world champion, and a two-time world silver medalist. All right, he ended up being a longtime coach of the Iranian national team. The guy was a beast. So this Barzagar finish is probably one that you all know pretty well. All right, I'm not recreating the wheel here, just trying to help you think about this a little differently. Elbows in tight. Don't split my hands until the foot's off the mat. All right, reaching low at the knee. I don't want to be around his waist. When I'm around his waist, Alan hops with me the whole time. All right, he can move his foot. He's got control of it. He can move his foot around. He's got control. As soon as I come to the knee, I got control. And so for a Barzagar finish, I'm going to run him off frame, really lift. All right, as I go to finish. So that's going to be our Barzagar finish. Now, whenever we take that, all right, our head outside, if we end up coming really high, so I talk about head outside shots. I said I want to get my lock high. The reason I want to get my lock up high, some coaches teach this, all right? The reason I don't like to teach it like this is Alan's a big, strong kid, and he's fast. So when he sprawls here, my arms automatically get extended. My wrestling position starts to break, all right? So when I take my shot and I keep my lock up high, my elbows tight, when Alan sprawls, my wrestling position doesn't change much, all right? I've got tight shoulder position. Now, if I want to finish high here, I'm going to come up to my feet and keep my hands high, and all I'm looking is I can lift, and I can go one of two ways. I can either punch this hand through, all right, or I can lift and sit. So lift and sit. It's going to create some pressure. See how I stayed on my feet for the finish as I mat return my opponent, all right? So that's going to be how we can finish high. Our mid-level finish is that Barzagar, all right? Now, if my position gets beat here and my shoulder starts to come out and I slide down to a low position, all right? Low head inside position. The rules don't change. Still staying off both knees. I still want to grab leg, elevate. But what's going to happen is, you'll see this for the next drill, my pressure starts to go backwards as I come up to create my takedown, all right? So when I'm here, my position gets broken down to here. I start to elevate and come backwards. This is going to allow me to look for takedown. So that is our head outside offense, AKA stinky palm. So head outside equals stinky palm. That's going to be us reaching up high for that belt buckle. So Our head inside is going to be stinky shoulder. And so we've got 3 finishes for that. High, mid, and low. The one that you guys probably end up with the most trouble is head inside low finishes. All right, so let's just kind of go over these pretty quickly. So remember, if I'm getting to my head inside offense, the goal is to get to stinky shoulder position. So if I'm coming up high on my finish for my stinky shoulder, I'm basically just going to end up splitting off to this double. So I start to elevate, I got to split off the mat, I split, shoulders in position, I'm going to run this double down and score. That's going to be basically my high level finish there. All right, so my mid-level finish, I'm going to be tabling the leg, all right, and creating pressure with my chest. So once again, I'm taking this big sweep, nice and tight. I'm really tight in here. Head up, chest up, back straight. Not on both knees, elbows in, all right? As I stay mid-level here, remember, grab leg, elevate. Grab leg, elevate. I'm able to put all the weight on Alan's far foot. I'm going to start to come up, and both feet are going to step on the inside here. All right, this allows me to create a good stable base. So when I get to this base, I can bring my chest and butt down at the same time. There. That creates the pressure to put Alan on the mat. All right. I can also create that pressure by getting one hand low and one hand high. So one hand low, one hand high, and I'm going to move Alan backwards, and I'm going to use my 7th basic skill, my back step here, and start to pull. Right here, keeping his hips wide open. That's going to be our mid-level finish off of our stinky shoulder. Now, the one that you're really going to end up getting the most mileage out of is this low-level finish on your head inside shot. So please pay attention to the details here. I get to my head inside shot. You're wrestling a good opponent. He gets to a whizzer, shin whizzer. All right. Keep turning. So we're in this position here, all right? Trying to keep my head up, trying to keep good wrestling position, trying to stay off both my knees, trying to keep my hands locked because his feet are on the mat. So the first thing I have to do is get parallel with my opponent. So me and Alan are both looking in the same direction. I'm giving Alan pressure. I'm always giving pressure, whether it's pushing pressure or stop pressure, all right? So I'm putting pressure into Alan across his hips, all right, perpendicular to his hips. The next thing I want to do is I've got to get some of this pressure off of his whizzer. So inside knee, which is going to be the knee closest to my opponent, the inside knee is going to go straight back, and then I'm going to pull my chest over top of my thigh. Here, what that just did, as you saw, it starts to open up Alan's knee, all right? When his knee is down and locked in, he's got a lot of pressure on my shoulder. He's putting my face down on the mat. I want to change the direction of that pressure. So my pressure can't go against his strength. If I go backwards, then I create the need for him to follow my pressure with his whizzer. All right, and that forces the knee to come up. When the knee comes up, this is my cue to elevate. Remember, 2 hands around the leg. I don't want to break him until I can get his foot off the mat. And right here is where we can elevate. All right? Anytime I start to elevate head inside, I want to get the heel all the way across my body. So I opened up the knee, elevate. Now I'm in good wrestling position here. The one thing that's important, guys, the higher the level you get, the more important it is to remember this. If I keep my shoulder below his thigh and my ear on top, he'll never be able to get that whizzer back. If I start reaching up around his waist, this whizzer comes back in, his knee goes back to the mat, and we end up in another scramble, and I didn't score my takedown. So once we get to this position, all right, remember, a mat return is not a finish is a finish. All right, and a finish ends with a breakdown. Okay, if you're not writing that in your notebook, you should. Anytime I finish a takedown, it ends with a breakdown. All right, so instead of coming around Alan's waist, I'm going to keep my shoulder nice and low. I'm going to start at the shoelaces and work my way up but shoelaces, and I want to pull this heel up underneath of his butt here. If I can get to my other hand, this makes it really easy to reach across. Otherwise, just pulling here is going to create pressure enough for me to break him down right off of his base. All right. So got our head inside and head outside offense. All right. I showed you 3 different finishes: high, mid, and low from our stinky palm. Stinky palm is where head outside, reaching deep low leg cradle. Head inside is going to end up with this pressure going backwards, elevating the leg, looking to finish backside. All right. Now, we're talking about our defense for our shots here. We want to talk about whether his head's on the inside or his head's on the outside. Okay. So Alan takes a shot, head on the outside. All right. The head on the outside defense. I call this a scrunch. All right. The reason it's called a scrunch is because I let one of my 10-year-old students name the move, and this is what we came up with. So when we talk about breaking this guy's position, Alan's in awesome position. He's got the front of his shoulder on the front of my hip. His head's up. He's off both knees. This guy's been paying attention to Coach Lou's clinics. All right. So the first thing that I need to do once he beats my lines of defense is I need to check for my wallet on the same side he shot. All right. All right. So I checked for my wallet. And then the other thing I need to do is protect my cup. All right. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take our hand and we're pushing it against Alan's elbow. And what that does is that locks this arm in. We don't want him to be able to split his hands and get to a double right away. Split your hands to a double. All right. We don't want him to be able to do this. This is going to allow him to score really easily on us. So if we're pushing on this elbow, if he goes to split his hands, then we're going to be able to get away pretty quickly. All right. So control the elbow, check your wallet. The reason that I'm checking my wallet is if his head, he cut the corner on me, all right, he gets the stinky shoulder position, he's going to score a lot easier. So checking my wallet keeps my opponent on one side of my body. Now, the most important thing about any shot defense is going to be your sprawl. And when I sprawl, listen to the words that I use, all right? So when I sprawl, I know this seems simple, but a lot of guys mess this up. My leg must be straight as a board. Must be straight as a board. It can't be slightly bent, all right? By straight as a board, you can point your toe, just like a ballerina. What this does is, this makes it really hard for your opponent to try and come out the back. Alan shot his high cross. I checked my wallet, checked my cup, and then I went straight as a board on my leg, okay? Whenever I'm defending a shot, my opponent's head wants to go, I need to push my opponent's head down and away from my body. All right, it's gonna make it really hard for them to finish. So I'm here, I've got my leg straight as a board, I'm coming across the space, creating pressure. Now my hips need to come to the party, and I'm trying to go from parallel to perpendicular, looking down Alan's back. So I turn a little bit. I beat his shoulder position now. The front of his shoulder is no longer in the front of my hip. And this is where the scrunch part of this comes in. This is where the scrunch part of this comes in. All right. So I'm reaching inside the laces, but my elbow stays below his butt. If I reach up here, he can get his butt up and this pressure isn't as good. So make sure you're reaching from the outside. All right, so I've got my laces here. Got the laces and I've got the tricep, okay? So with my leg completely straight and I have this tricep, when I lift on his ankle, I can put all of the weight where his hand used to be. All right, so right there. Because I kept my head up, chest up, I can start to put pressure across his body. This is going to be a pretty easy takedown. All right. So what that looks like, when Alan takes his high crotch, I check, start to sprawl and square up. When I reach down to here, I put him where his post should be. For my takedown. All right, coming behind both of them. That's going to be our scrunch. It's going to be our basic defense to our head outside shots. All right. Now, Alan goes head inside shot. Okay. Head inside shot. Remember, first thing that I need to do. Start getting that head down and away. All right. Second thing I need to do is get my leg as straight as a board. So I'm getting this head down and away. Leg goes straight as a board. The third thing is going to be my hand position. All right. I'm not going to do a traditional whizzer where I want to get my arm really deep. I want to make a fist with my thumb on top. All right. Just the way that your boxing coach taught you not to punch is what we're going to use for our whizzer here. So you got this grenade grip. All right. Awkward punch. I'm going to put my thumb right now in his armpit, and the pressure is going to go straight up towards the ceiling. So pushing down on his head, leg goes straight, and I'm pushing up on the pressure. I want his elbow high, and I want his lock to kind of come to the top of my hip. All right. When I do that in unison, we normally get to a position like this. All right. Your good wrestlers are holding on tight. They're trying to rebuild their position. They're going to knee pound in and try and get their head up. Right? It's our job to keep this leg straight. This hand with our knuckle in his armpit, this stops him from being able to cut the corner around this one. All right? If he goes to cut the corner, this stops that and allows us to circle back up and stay square with our opponent. All right? So this is very important. If you get it too deep, if I get this arm too deep and Alan's head can come up, we end up getting head wheel. All right? So my sprawl wizard defense here. Leg straight as a board, head down and away, knuckle in his armpit. I'm squaring up, squaring up. Now, right here is the moment of truth. All right, my opponent's locked on my leg. I've got him extended. He's got a good grip. Okay, here's how we get that lock to break. I'm going to turn my free hip over top of his shoulder, nice and tight. And when I turn that, that's going to force his lock to break. So top hip rotates. All right, my toe points up. We get this lock broken. All right, now our hands come behind the elbows, and we're looking to run the corner here. All right, anytime I can beat this guy's arms by going over the top, I want to try and do that. So when I'm doing my sprawl wizard defense, okay, I'm doing a couple of things at the same time. Head down and away, leg straight as a board, squaring my hips up, pulling up with this. All right, and as I'm going to square up right here, all right, as I'm going to square up, once I feel like he's at the point where I can't move and he can't move, now I'm going to open up my hips. Here, opening up my hips breaks the lock. As long as I'm keeping the pressure on him, he's not going to be able to move with me as I start to go around the corner. All right? So when we talk about our defense, guys, things that we want to remember, okay, is defense. Head goes down and away. Down and away. All right. Leg goes straight as a board. Straight as a board. And when I say square your hips, I want you to put your belt buckle on the back of your head. All right? So belt buckle on back of head. This is going to be your cue to square up, stay center, whatever your coach is normally teaching you as part of your shot defense. All right, so just making sure that as we're doing this, especially our defense, we want to make sure that our good wrestling position to shoot any shot. Our good wrestling position doesn't get broken. All right, so one of the things that happens a lot, especially at the younger ages, is guys let their heads go down as they go to do their defense, all right? So anytime my head starts to go down, my hips naturally start to go up. And so it makes it really hard for me to keep my legs straight because my head's going down and I'm trying to bend myself in half, all right? So it's really hard to bend myself in half and keep this leg straight. It automatically makes me want to go to the mat, which when the guy's got a head inside shot and I'm doing this, he starts to come out the back, all right? So right here, this is what happens when my head goes down and my leg goes straight, all right? What we want to happen is, as our leg goes straight and our opponent tries to go underneath and straighten us out, if this leg is straight, he doesn't have a corner to go to. All right, so right here, if Alan tries, because my leg is straight at the board, he tries to get his head to the outside, go ahead. He just beat himself going around the corner. All right, he doesn't have anywhere to go. All right, so those types of things are really, really important. Now, the fifth drill, all right, so we got our two defenses, all right, our two offenses, head outside, head inside, offense, all right, defense is going to be scrunch, so head outside is going to be sprawl wizard, or head outside is going to be scrunch, head inside is going to be sprawl wizard, it's going to be our defenses. And remember, guys, I'm not saying that your funk doesn't work. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying if you start with these defenses, all of those other things will still be there if your opponent forces you to use them. But if you're not going straight leg, if you're not getting head down in a way, if you're not squaring your hips up, trying to put your belt buckle on the back of their head, a lot of those options might be taken away from you by your opponent instead of the other way around. So the next drill that I want to show is one of my favorites. It's one that when used properly can help you feel more confident in taking more shots, because it allows you an escape hatch from unorthodox position. All right, so this drill right here is called a cat drag. All right, this is our front headlock defense. So once again, we talked about our three types of front headlocks. He's over top of both arms, all right? Whenever our opponent's over top of both of our arms in a front headlock, remember, we're never on both of our knees. Whatever side our head can come up on, our elbows go back and our knees come forward. So head comes up, elbows back, knees forward, all right? This is going to allow me to find some shoulder position or create a good scramble for me to get out from underneath of this guy, all right? So arms over the top. We're basically doing a power knee slide, getting our elbows back. His arms are in front of my shoulders, all right? There's no reason for me to grab an elbow and keep this guy here, let him figure out how to score a takedown. All right, if his arms are in front of my shoulders, that means that he's not holding me down, and I can just go backwards until I get up to my feet, all right? So right here, my hands start to come back, my hands stay down, all right? So imagine we're right here. You do a backwards bear crawl. Once your feet come up, you're in a good wrestling position. This guy has nothing, all right? He can try to pull your head down, but now you've got a chance to get your head back up, create some motion, and get to shoulder position, all right, which is going to be really important. If I can get to shoulder position here, all right, it's going to give me a chance to score takedowns. So super simple. Arms in front, backward bear crawl, arms over, power knee slide. All right, now here's where the skill of this cat drag comes in. So Alan's over one. All right, he's over one, in front of one. I want to find the chin hand. And normally the chin hand is the one that's in front of your shoulder. If Alan gets his hands locked, all right, he's not grabbing my chin, but this is still the chin hand. All right, this is going to be the hand that controls. So whatever side his arm is in front of my shoulder, that's the knee that I want to keep off the mat. All right, because that's the side that he's going to have to beat to score his takedown. So once I get to here, knees off the mat, got a base, I want to get both of my hands to the chin hand. So thumbs go to the wrist, all right? I'm staying nice and tight in this ball, and then I extend my hands out straight as I can. Alan's going to be giving me pressure here, all right? I'm going to be putting pressure back into him because he wants to score his takedown, and I want to stop him from doing it. So I'm keeping this arm as straight as possible, trying to put it on the mat. And because we both have pressure into each other, all right, you can see that if I stop giving pressure to Alan and he keeps his pressure, here's what happens. He balls me up, all right? If I start giving pressure to Alan and he doesn't reciprocate it with pressure, I just end up coming right out, nice and simple, all right? So we're not drilling to beat the guys that we always beat. We're drilling to beat the guys that we can't beat. And so those types of opponents are constantly giving us pressure. All right. So I got two hands on one. I isolated. I've got this hand to the mat. I'm giving him pressure. He's giving me pressure. The one thing I can't do is I can't retract to try and bring my head up. All right. That releasing pressure is going to allow him to collapse me. So what I'm going to do is as I extend, all right, I'm going to rub the back of my head right along the top until I can get my head up and ear tight. All right. Kids, you want to wonder how you get cauliflower ear? It's from good, tight wrestling right in here. All right. Keeping my ear nice and tight to my opponent. Now, here's where the drag and the cat drag of this technique comes in. All right. Inside hand, not my outside hand. It's coming to a drag position, which is going to be right on the bottom of his tricep, right above his elbow. Now, I can't keep my elbow up. If I go elbow up, he can go redrag. All right. So I keep my elbow tight to my ribs. And all I'm going to do is a knee exchange. One knee's down and one knee's up. I'm going to exchange them like I do at the store. I would like my right knee down, please. So right knee comes down, left knee comes up. This is the angle that I want. My drag is going to go down through my body, and my back hand is looking to chase, catch. So I pull, back hand's looking to chase and catch. If I get something here, I'm going to go to score my takedown. All right, if I can come as high as I can. Otherwise, I created good motion that got my opponent out of good position and me back to a good wrestling place. All right. So here's what this kind of looks like. Alan's got a front headlock. All right, he's trying to attack here and score his takedown. Right away, I'm getting two hands on one hand, and I start extending that hand down to the mat. All right, Alan's giving me pressure. I'm giving him pressure. My head starts to come up, and I do my knee exchange, coming around the corner. All right, one more time. Hold on a second. So one more time right here. Two hands to one hand. Extend, extend, extend. Head starts to come up right here. Here's my knee exchange. Knee exchange, pull. I'm going around the corner, looking to finish backside, all right? One thing I just made a mistake on there was I came around his waist. I want to try and make sure as much as possible that that hand goes right up his butt, all right? When I'm hitting this technique, all right, the one thing that I don't want to do is create a prolonged scramble. So when I hit this, I want to be reaching here with my elbow down so that I can catch going around the corner here, all right? This is going to allow me, if his hips start to get extended away but his foot stays, right, I can start to catch something here, all right? So this cat drag really starts to show up. It shows up from a low level. It shows up as you hand fight. This guy snaps me into a front headlock right here, right at this mid-level front headlock. I'm trying not to go to the mat. Same thing. Arm that's in front of my shoulder. I'm still attacking that one. I'm still extending because he's going to be giving me pressure, and I'm going to be giving him pressure. All right. And as my head comes up, this is where our drag's going to come. Except now, if you remember what our upper front side shoulder position was, front of the shoulder, right on his sternum, my cat drag put me right in perfect position to go right into this type of drag. All right. Opening up my hips, going from front side shoulder position to upper stinky shoulder, which is now going to be a really easy mat return and takedown. All right. So this cat drag, all right, this cat drag, when deployed properly and when deployed kind of all the time, it can really frustrate an opponent who likes to work from their front headlock because it makes them uncomfortable. All right, every time they go to get to their front headlock, start to create some offense, start to try and move you around. The only way that they're able to do that is if they control basically your chin, your head, and the only way to do that is to have basically the one hand over the top, the one hand under, like in front of the shoulder, and that's going to allow them to control you. And so with this cat drag, all right, we're trying to beat a bunch of that. All right, so we've got our cat drag. We want to make sure we're one knee only. All right, one knee only. Fine, chin hand. which is just going to be the hand in front of shoulder. Okay? So the hand that's in front of the shoulder is the hand that we're attacking. So you go 2 hands to one, 2 hands to one hand. Just like we did for our hand fight, we come from our chest forward. So put the hand on the mat. Put the hand on the mat. Do your knee exchange. And the drag comes through the body. Drag comes through the body. And what I mean by that is I can't stop when I pull my arm through. Everything's still good. Okay. I can't stop just pulling my arm through. So if I did a good job of creating this position and I get to this drag, I can't hit a drag like this. All right, I've really got to pull this thing all the way through my body so that I extend my opponent like you just saw. All right, and so those things are really important. All right, and, making sure that we're chasing that shoulder position as we come around the corner, not trying to come around his waist. All right, and so the last thing, the last core drill that we're going to talk about is basically my front headlock. And so I could spend a whole video or a whole lesson teaching front headlock stuff. When I talk about my core drills, I instruct all of my athletes. You come into any practice, any lesson, any private lesson. The first thing you must do is you must hit 5 of these perfectly. All right, so there's 6 drills, so that's 30 moves. And so kind of like I talked about in my first video, it's not practice that makes perfect. It's perfect practice that makes perfect. And so when you come in here and you want to work on these core drills, remember it's slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So if I'm not understanding how to put pressure in nice and slow on Alan, when I try and snap and get to my front headlock, I'm immediately going to create bad shoulder position. My shoulder was all the way up here. I'm rushing it, right? This is almost in the center of his back, not where I want to be. I'm about 8 or 9 inches away from where I really want my shoulder to create good pressure. So remember, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And so for my front headlock, the one that I just want to drill nice and easy without trying to go into a bunch of detail is we're going to do the one hand over, one hand under lock, all right? And so what I want to do is I want to take Alan from this kind of 4-legged table, right? He's got 4 different posts, and I want to turn him into a 3-legged table and then beat that side, all right? So 3-legged table, beat that side. So when I go 3-legged table, I like to lock my hands. When I lock, I lock here, all right? So one hand grabs the outside of the hand, one's going over the thumb. And what this allows me to do is this allows me to pinch my elbows and pull in tight to my chest. So when I'm in my front headlock, I've got my good shoulder position. I'm putting pressure into my opponent. I'm off of both my knees. And as I come here with my elbow high, it's not bad position. It's pretty unorthodox, but there's a lot better position I can get from here. And as I go to pinch, I'm going to go elbow to elbow, and then I pinch. Now look what I've got. I've got a 3-legged table. All right? You got a 3-legged table. You put them where the post is removed. Right there. The post is broken. Now, my hands start to come over the top. All right? My pressure's in. My hands start to come over the top. I don't want to try and stay here. Maybe sometimes you'll get caught here. But if I come over the top, immediately I'm chasing shoulder position and I'm keeping my pressure into my opponent. The easiest way to do this is to take an inside step first. All right. So I got to my front headlock. All right. I'm trying to keep pressure into him. Alan's doing a good job of putting pressure back into me, trying to get to his feet. All right. So I go 3-legged table, put him there, come over their hands, and it's a big inside step. All right. Alan has to pressure back into me or else he falls over. My shoulder position can then slide here finish double, or I can open up my hips over the top and start to take like here, all right? So what that looks like, if I speed it up a little bit, got to my shoulder position, keeping good pressure. I'm just gonna go pinch and pull, and then I'm going over the top, looking to finish here, come around, score my takedown, all right? So guys, remember, this front headlock, I mean, you could make a living out of this position. I mean, guys do, all right? So as part of my core drills though, you've got to be able to score a takedown off of this in short time, all right? So we don't have time to work on our knee taps and our spins and our fake this way and fake that way, all right? We just want to keep it nice and simple where I'm going to turn a 4-legged table into a 3-legged table, put that side down, and then I'm going to beat him to the shoulder position, all right? You wrestle a really good guy. As I take this step and release, come on, here, all right, his head stuff starts to come up, and I get to my shoulder position. This is what a real scramble is going to feel like, because now I've got to grab leg, elevate, all right, and look to score my takedown. But I still stayed in really good position, and that's still going to be a takedown against a quality opponent, all right? So our cat drag is going to be our defense to our front headlock, all right? One knee only. Find the chin hand, the hand that's in front of the shoulder. 2 hands to one and extend. Put the hand on the mat. You're going to do your knee exchange, and the drag comes through the body, all right? Now, when we're doing our offensive front headlock, all right, offensive front headlock, you want to remember, we've got a 3-legged table in front of us, or we've got a table in front of us, all right? Table, chair, however you want to think about it, all right? So we've got a table in front of us. And the one thing that we want to do is we want to turn to 3-leg table, all right? Put opponent where post was removed. Go over the arm, looking for shoulder position. Remember, that shoulder position is that front of the shoulder. All right, shoulder position always involves the front of the shoulder, never the side or the top. All right, so the front of the shoulder is the inflection point for our shoulder position. All right, so that's my lesson for today, guys. I'm just going to run through kind of what we talked about. I know I had a little bit of difficulty with the Facebook feed. All right, so I just want to make sure that you guys understand everything that's in my notes. I'm going to show you each drill one time. So the things we talked about today, we talked about the types of shots that we have, whether they be head inside shots or head outside shots. It doesn't matter what the step is that gets you there, inside, outside step. Your head's either going to be on the inside or the outside, or it's going to be a double, all right, and or low single. So when we talk about shots, talk about the types of tie-ups that we have. There's an open tie, all right? There's an open tie where you're not touching your opponent, all right? There's controlled ties, which are going to be our Russians, our underhooks, and even maybe our mid-level front headlock type stuff. That's going to be our controlled ties. And then our hand fighting, which is anything that happens when me and my opponent are both putting our hands on each other, all right? We had 3 rules to hand fighting, all right? If you don't take anything out of this lesson, please take these 3 things, all right? These 3 things. So we want to hand fight from the bottom up, all right? Alan's got his hands on me, all right? He's got his hands on both sides. He's trying to control me. I must come from the bottom, which means at least starting at my waist. I come from the bottom up. From the inside being, if I cut you in half like a samurai straight down the middle, that's your center line. I'm coming from my center line outward, all right? Whenever I hand fight, Alan touches me here, if I come from the inside out, from the bottom up, I'm going to get inside control. Alan collar ties me on this side. I come from the bottom up, from the inside out. I've got my collar tied. He's in an outside tie. All right, these outside ties, for my next video, I'm going to show you how we create a lot of offense from these outside ties of our opponent, but we're not quite there yet. And then if he's got such a tight control on me, right, he's really strong, I can't break away. All right, my hands come to my chest, and they fight forward 2-on-1. All right, so bottom up, inside out, chest forward are going to be our 3-hand fighting rules. All right, we talked about pressure, 2 types of pressure. Whether I'm the one pushing, right? I'm the one pushing, providing pressure. When my opponent stops my pressure, I'm pushing and he stops my pressure. This is where my angles come from, and vice versa. When my opponent's pushing into me, I'm letting him, and I give him stop pressure. This allows me to change the direction or create an angle. I create stop pressure, I can release underneath, and there go my shots, all right? So 2 types of pressure, all right? We talked about shoulder position, all right? Shoulder position. So the front of my shoulder, all right? So right here, all right, I've got this tattoo. It says family, all right? My family comes first, which means that my family hits his shoulder first, all right? Hits his hip first. So I'm the left leg lead, all right? When I get my head position here, I'm taking my high crotch. My family comes first, means I'm in good position. Shoulder position, front of my shoulder, front of his hip. Shoulder position, front of my shoulder, stinky shoulder, shoulder position. Front of my shoulder on his sternum, shoulder position. Front of my shoulder, stinky shoulder, upper stinky shoulder, shoulder position. Front headlock, shoulder position. Right where his shirt collar would meet the back of his neck, all right? That's gonna be my shoulder position as I'm moving around, all right? We talked about the rules to our shots, all right? So the rules are 2 hands to the leg whenever I shoot, all right? Nobody's strong enough to shoot with 1 hand, elevate, and finish all with 1 hand, all right? When I lock, I wanna lock up high, all right? I wanna lock up high. This is gonna allow me to keep control of his hips if this guy goes to sprawl, all right? When he sprawls, I don't move that much. When my hands are low, and he sprawls, I end up getting extended, all right? So remember, we wanna lock high. One thing I didn't talk about was keeping your chin up a little bit when we're in there. But so the main thing, if you, dads out there, moms out there, when you're watching your son or daughter wrestle, all right? You're watching your son or daughter, you don't know what to yell, you're not quite sure, all right? Most of the time, this happens from a scramble position, all right? This is the word that I just want you to yell, all right? Your little guy, your little gal's in on a leg, all right? They're trying to score, they're trying to stop someone from scoring, all right? This is what I want you to yell, elevate, all right? So I grab a leg, I elevate it off the mat. This is always gonna help my position, all right? I've got a leg, all right? I elevate it off the mat, all right? I've got a leg, I elevate it off the mat. I've got a leg, I elevate it off the mat. Right here. I've got a leg, I elevate it off the mat. All right? So grab leg, elevate. Don't break your lock until you get your opponent's foot off the mat. I don't care whether it's an inch or a mile. And keep your shoulder position all the way through your mat return and through your finish, all right? Your finish is your breakdown, no matter what style you're wrestling, all right? You wanna get your opponent flat, and so you always finish with a breakdown, all right? We talked about stinky shoulder, which is gonna be our head inside shots, all right? Head inside shots. Remember, low level finish, he's got a whizzer, my pressure goes backwards, so I open up the knee, pointing towards the ceiling, grab leg, elevate, all right? Shoulder stays low underneath, so I can reach across and finish shoulder to his butt, all right? Mid-level, right in here, my lock staying high. I'm gonna elevate and put it on the table here, and as I come up, this is gonna allow me to hike the football, put pressure through with my chest, attack backside double, and the same thing when I come high, I can lift off the mat, all right? Stinky palm is gonna be our head outside, all right? So I shot this high crotch, whether I went outside step, whether I went deep penetration, knee over toe, Doesn't matter, I'm here. Same thing, I can't break my hands until I get his foot off the mat. All right, but when I do, so when I do split my hands, all right, my inside hand that splits is going to be the one that controls the low leg. My outside hand is going to be the one that reaches nice and deep. All right, this, you used to be able to call this a Metzger, you pick somebody up, you can get a lot of points out of this. I had a college teammate, Ryan Halushak, the last All-American for Drexel Wrestling. He used to hit this a ton. But this stinky palm, as I hit the mat, keep my shoulder in position through my mat return. I elevate the low leg. He's turning into me. All right, I'm looking low leg cradle, finish the match. All right, the one thing I teach my guys is if you can get to your high crotch, all right, if you've practiced this stinky palm finish 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 100,000 times, if you can get to a high crotch in a match, you can still pin your opponent, all right? So we've got stinky shoulder, stinky palm, all right? Our shot defense was our sprawl, whizzer, and scrunch, all right? So our scrunch is gonna be head outside. Check your wallet, check your cup, make sure they can't split. Most important thing is gonna be head going down and away, leg going straight as a board, my hips going square, all right? I'm beating his shoulder position. Scrunch is going to be inside the ankle, at the tricep. I put him over the shoulder, keeping everything tight, scoring my takedown, all right? My sprawl whizzer. Alan's got his head on the inside, head goes down and away, leg goes straight as a board. My grenade grip knuckle goes right into his armpit, squaring up, all right? He stays locked. I open up my hips to break the lock. Here, hips open up, arms over the top, spinning around, scoring my takedown. All right, our cat drag. Talked about guy being in front, finding the chin hand, extending it out, getting it down, knee exchange, pull, going around the corner. And our front headlock, where I want to create a three-legged table. All right, put him down, beating him around that corner, finding the shoulder position, and score my takedown. All right, so those are my 6 core drills. My guys do them every single day. They are supposed to do them perfectly 5 times every single day. That's really what I teach. So just want to say thank you for tuning in again. Sorry for the trouble with the video once more time. Still trying to get the hang of this. I paid for the Zoom webinar thing. Hopefully more people will look to take advantage of it. I'm going to try and see if I can open that up for the clinicians later. So still doing donations, guys. If you can see this, so still doing donations. Here's my PayPal. Here's my Venmo. There's my Cash App. Also, please go check out the group on Facebook. I'm assuming if you're here that you're also there, and that if you're able to, donate to the Joe Heskett GoFundMe. It's linked to the donations and PayPal Venmo topic at the top of the Facebook page. Once again, I just want to say thank you. Guys, remember, when you're out there, keep positive mind about your practice. Keep positive body language while you're out on the wrestling mat. Remember the things that you should be saying to yourself that I talked about last time. Having that positive mental picture in your head. If some of these things are difficult for you, I can and I will. There is no such thing as can't. And it's just I haven't been able to do it yet. So I hope you guys are really looking forward to the clinicians that we've got coming later today for you. This whole month of April is going to be so awesome. I've got a lot of lessons coming for you in the mornings for the rest of the month that I hope you guys tune in for. But I just want to say thank you so much for checking out the Facebook group. Share it out there. We've got some good ideas coming for how to make this thing better, and I'm open to hearing anything you guys got. Shoot me a message, send me an email, whatever you need to do to get in touch with me. But looking forward to hearing from you guys and learning from some of the coaches. Thank you very much. Have a good day.